Hello, welcome to the video. So this is part of a new video series called Art of the Oneiroi. So the Oneiroi is the name of the EP we've been working on, which is the overarching kind of concept and story behind a lot of what's going on. And this new video series is about recognizing some of the people that have helped collaborate on the project and bring it to life. So previously you would have seen a video hopefully on Anger, one of the vocalists helping on the project. But today I wanted to have a look at the art behind what we're doing. So for me, I think art's always been so important. When I was growing up and I was buying albums, the first thing I did was see the album cover. I didn't have Spotify, and I had the genre of music I liked. I had my favorite artists, and I would save up my money, go into our price in town, flick through, see the latest releases or read reviews in Kerangs, find albums I wanted to hear, and then I'd see the album cover before I saw anything else or heard anything else. Take that to the till, ask if I could maybe have a listen to it before I purchased it, and I think that helped me have a really special connection with art. And every time I listen to music, I always think about the visuals that go along with that, whether those are the videos or the artwork. And so yeah, it's something that's always been really special to me and something I wanted to make sure that I got right on this project. So today in this video, we're going to be looking at somebody who's helped a great deal with the visuals on this project. He goes under the moniker October Midnight, and we'll be taking a look at him. So who is October Midnight, or Aaron as I know him? So Aaron is an independent artist who publishes his work, a lot of his work on Instagram. So I have his page here. Recommend you go and find him, October_Midnight. And he seems to focus mainly on glitch, horror, mixed media type artwork. Most of it finding its way into different album covers and merchandise for different bands. So why did I choose Aaron as someone to work with? Well, first of all, just the quality of the type of work that he does. So if we have a look, just scrolling through his gallery here, we can see he does tons of fantastic dramatic artwork that I think like aesthetically really fits what I would say is like an alternative scene music. I think definitely a lot of it is I can see why a lot of heavy metal bands use him. And I always loved that kind of artwork, even maybe if it's not, doesn't completely fit the genre of music that I try to focus on. But, you know, I certainly have heavier bits in the music, and I just saw a lot of his artwork and a lot of it resonated with me straight away. And you can just take a look at some of these pieces. They're really fantastic and they're interesting, and it's not always, I think something about them as well is that you can sort of put your own interpretation on them. You're looking for something that you can hook into your music and something that speaks to you, and it's really great. And I'd been looking at tons of artists. I'd been scrolling through Instagram and everywhere I could find that people had portfolios and things like that. And I'd been hitting lots of dead ends trying to get commissions up off the ground for things. And I was trying to find a cover for the first single we had, which was Splinter, and I had already had one artist in mind, and we were negotiating and talking through the thing, and you're trying to get to the point where you get to the price, and I think it would have cost about £750, which is probably $850 just for the single. The single's never going to make that much money, or even 10% of that. So it gets difficult because you're trying to manage budgets and things like that, and I was going round and round, and I found so many great artists and obviously hit those unfortunate dead ends. And I came across Aaron, and I saw his work, and I was really excited to try and think, okay, well, just here's another one. And he was probably the one I saw that fit what I was after most. So I was particularly nervous about reaching out. And I actually do have the first message I sent to him, which kind of demonstrates some of the excitement. And the artwork I'd seen that I was really keen on was this piece here. I really had this idea of using this for Splinter, because it wasn't just about like a Splinter emotionally, or a timeline, or whatever it was. There's lots of aspects to that song, and I just felt that this piece of art like really translated it really well with that, the way that she was looking distressed, and it was the physical kind of Splinter in the picture. And I really loved the fact it was black and white as well, and I was really excited to try and see if I could convince him in some way, and if this piece of artwork was available. So I've got the first message here. So you have to remember, I'd maybe spoken to four, five, six different artists, and every time I was just finding that what I wanted to do wasn't quite achievable. And quite often I was trying to purchase pieces that already existed, or trying to get commissions done. And and I found Aaron, and I figured, I mean, the first thing I saw on his page, right, was a commission for merchandise for Slipknot. So this piece here. So I thought, there's no way I'm going to be able to work with this guy. And so my first message: hey Aaron, just sending you a message, as I need artwork for a single and an EP. To be clear, this is an independent project by myself. It's a concept music piece, and it's a private. There's no particular commercial aim in mind, but I spelt mind wrong, in Mond. And this project is unlikely to generate any money. So I was doing this on my phone, and my screen is ruined. So there's a few typos. And then I say, with this in Mond again, I'm very limited on funds, but was wondering if perhaps you had any old pieces you might consider allowing me non-exclusive rights for at a cheap price. So I was even saying, like, I don't mind if the artwork's used anywhere else. If I could use it, that would be great. Yeah. Um, and I said, I don't like to ask this, but your stuff's really the kind of aesthetic I'm going for. And this was a guy that I was so glad to find. He just responded saying like he was keen to work with everyone, work with independent artists, and do what he can with whatever budget they had. And he offered me a great price. And I won't say what that price was, because I don't know about how he prices things generally. Um, but it just made my day. I was just so happy, and I got to use that piece. And from then on as well, I used Aaron for all those main tracks across the EP. And you can see some of the ones that are released already. The latest one here, Egan State. Um, Again, like a really great example of his work. I love the fact that all this stuff's not just dark. And here it had that lovely blue, cold energy with the purple stuff coming off of her face, electricity, whatever it is. And I just thought it was so cool, and there was like a beauty in it with the model and stuff. And I was really keen to kind of grab this one as well. And if I can show some of the other pieces. Loops here was the second single. Again, a really kind of interesting piece using the kind of glitch effects with this lady in a field. Could mean any kind of number of things. And yeah, and the great thing, as I said, about Aaron was like he offered me something I could work with, which allowed me to do my real vision, which was to have artwork for every song. So there was a kind of different story that was building, and it meant whether it was going to be a single or whatever it was, it had art that went with it. So even if it's not a single, there's artwork that goes along with the track in the canvas on Spotify. So this is why I always push people towards Spotify, because you get that artwork element properly along with the music. Bring up the canvas, and there's a bit of animation. You get to see something, and maybe a hidden message within it. So those are the three ones we got so far, and there's more and more. But I don't I don't know if Aaron got a bit frustrated with me, because here's one of the first ones I tried to grab here. I just saw this. I was just so excited, and I saw this, and I immediately thought it reminded me of Kill Switch Engage, and I just think it was the colors or something, or the heart in the middle. And I purchased this. I got him to do the typography, and then what happened was his gallery is so massive, but I was just panicking, because I was like, oh, he's giving me things, and I'll grab them while they're available before someone else realizes that there's these cool pieces that they can get. And just got carried away. And the more time I spent with his gallery, the more changes I made. And I was like, oh, can I swap this piece for this piece? And then and I did this really early on when we just had the first song done, but the lyrics were written for everything else. And then over time, as the music started progressing, I then started changing my mind even more. And he was really kind and patient with me. And at the end, I think I found I needed 9 or 10 pieces from him, and there was only in one instance I couldn't find the piece I wanted in his gallery. He's very kind and an affordable kind of commission for me. And this is when I started to really kind of wonder about his process and how he's putting all this together, because I used to do a little bit of this, but I was first in a band, and then I tried to do album art, and then I would rely on a lot of stock imagery and stuff. And I wondered where he was getting all these stock models from for these different pieces. And if we scroll down his amazing gallery here, there's definitely some consistency, I would say, to some of these. They kind of come and go, like certain images that you see with these. This is one I really love. As soon as I saw this, you can probably see if I didn't like that for some reason. I should have liked it. But for some reason, I just keep seeing these new bits, and I have to be like, oh yeah, you can see, like, damn. And that's because I see it and I just think, oh, maybe I could have had that one. He brings out something new. And here's another great one here. I really love this one. I think somebody's got it. So I just scroll through, and I would see this consistency with these, usually like female models in these kind of like sometimes dreamy poses and stuff. The internet seems to be a bit slow. And I really started to wonder, and then he kind of opened up a bit about the process. So he was, what a piece this is here. So he was, his wife's a photographer, and I think the models are their friends, and so he's able to utilize that talent there within his family to get really unique images. And I think that's kind of what makes him special. He's not just one of these guys that are incredibly talented in creating these kind of digital artworks, but also he's got a real hand in the photography that goes along with it. So he's not really relying on any stock images so much, and he's able to direct how that looks and what he's going for. And I think that really does help make him particularly unique, which also makes it kind of stunning that what he's offering, how he's offering to help with the kind of the price point he's coming in for some independent artists and bands. And one of the most recent ones we got him to work on was, we just did Egan State Now, and we wanted to do a different take, not like a remix. So it's not the B-side to the track, it's almost like a different interpretation. So there's this male voice in the main song right up until the end, Egan State, and then we got Egan Pair, which is like an alternative version of it, I would say, almost from a different perspective. And it was almost like it was either a response or a takeover of the narrative. So it was the same song structurally almost, but with the lyrics changed, the narrator changed, some of the instrumentation changed, and wanted to have a similar theme with the artwork, that it was a kind of takeover, but not a hostile takeover. I don't want to give too much away about the music, but it was something coming through with a different voice and a different interpretation, not necessarily in an evil way, but yeah. So I had this kind of idea for it, very different to anything he did before, which was taking his existing work and kind of having this other character or voice kind of override that artwork, the character of the Oneiroi in the story. So she's scribbled out the name, she graffitied her artwork over it, hearts, stars, moons, all this kind of stuff. And it's kind of like a bizarre request for him, I think, to essentially remix or retake his work, and in a very different aesthetic to obviously the kind of stuff you've seen him do before. But as always, he was super patient, gave it a good go, and ended up with something I think is pretty cool and unique. So that will be the next single, is this kind of alternative reality or dimensional version of that song. So I'd hope to kind of interview Aaron for this video if he had enough time. And Aaron very graciously answered some questions for me about his process and what drives him to do his artwork. He's kind of a very private person, so he's not appearing in video, but I'll provide the answers to all the questions. I don't want to read out all his answers, his own words, but I'll just cover, I think, a few nice bits that he said about his process. So I started off asking him, your work mainly seems to live in the intersection between glitch, horror, mixed media. What is it that made you land in this area? So his answer, I've always had a fascination with diametrically opposed ideas such as beauty and disgust, light and dark, pain and healing, etc. How they're complete opposites, yet from different perspectives, can be constructed to be quite similar. What one person finds beautiful, another person finds disgusting. Some can find healing by working through their pain. It's all how you look at things. I think that's a really nice, a nice answer. And I was laughing a little bit there at what some people find disgusting, other people find beautiful. I just thinking about how people interpret art and music and things like that. Because sometimes I get feedback on my music. Okay, so the next thing we asked him, heavy metal and rock music have always embraced the darker, more macabre visual interpretations. Your visual style often brings a specific modern, dystopian, and even beautiful edge to it. How does the heavy music genre influence these elements in your art and vice versa? So heavy music often deals with very real emotions and feelings, though it's not exclusive to the genre. I listen to all kinds of music and get inspiration from almost anything in my life. I've always connected with the emotion and expression of alienation and pain in heavier music, and I suppose that my work reflects that back. Yeah, and I think that it does. I just brought up another piece here that I regret not getting. But yeah, you kind of like I think definitely in that genre, like it does reflect those kind of emotions and things so well. I mean, like lots of bands have different approaches and lots of different artists, but I think he's really nailing his own unique style in this space. Absolutely. Oh, here's another one exclusive that I grabbed for another track. Oh, the next question here. Yeah. I wanted to just kind of shed light on some of the process that I knew about that he'd already told me about. A lot of your pieces feature striking portraits of women shot by your wife, which gives your work a really personal, unique core. How does that dynamic shape the final aesthetic of the artwork before you start working with it? How much are you involved in the photography aspect? Yeah, because like I actually did get to see some of the more kind of source images as he was doing a little commission for me, and I was just blown away just by the quality of the photography, which could have been sold in its own right, let alone before he'd even touched it in Photoshop or whatever software he's using. So and I think even on their own those would be quite sought after pieces. So he said, somewhat related to the first question, I've always been fascinated with the idea of beauty and how it means something different to everyone. When asked this question, I always turn back and ask, what makes something or someone beautiful? Is it something superficial, as their appearance? What if that appearance was altered, simply by taking this piece and moving it here? Does that change your opinion? Why? So, and I think because he focuses a lot on these kind of sometimes slightly macabre visuals with glitch and stuff, moving things around and changing what would be considered ostensibly like beautiful, then I think he does pose that question in his art, and it was interesting to see that answer. So yeah, there's some more questions, but I'm not gonna dive into those. I don't want to read too many of his words out. I think what I'll do is I'll put the questions like in the description with his answers or as a comment below. But I was curious to get a little take on some of his favorite album covers. So we'll have all those below as well. But I'll show a few that he mentioned. So one of the albums, Smashing Pumpkins' Adore. So I know two album covers for Adore. I'm not too sure. I think it's the black and white one, which was the original I remember coming out. Smashing Pumpkins, I was more the I really like that double album they had with Tonight Tonight. But yeah, the Adore album, and it is a really great cover. So I think it's the black and white one that you used to see in shops, and there's this alternative cover. It might be the other way around. But when I was looking, I hadn't really seen this red one so much before, and I think it's a really interesting cover, and it shows her there in the dress, but also looks like it's a flower behind her with that familiar font there, but without the band name. Interesting. Um, Another one he mentioned, which I'll highlight, is the Cure, Disintegration. So the Cure is actually Robert Smith. You can see on the cover here is from my hometown where I live. So he's a local boy. So of all the bands he could have chosen, he chosen the Cure, which is a great choice. And the Cure is, I have been inspired by them. I think they're really great. And I think if you look back at my last band, there's a track called Anything at All, which is the middle eight of that track. I just completely did my best to try and steal the guitar sound from a song by The Cure called The Forest. So yeah, but nothing wrong with a bit of inspiration. And here I can see definitely those mixed media sort of elements coming in, I think, on this piece of art. But also, I just kind of wonder how they used to make these album covers back in the day. So I said before, I used to do a little bit of album art myself, and but at the time, you know, had Photoshop, so I have no idea how they made that. And another album, The Fragile by Nine Inch Nails, which is a really interesting choice. It's almost just color, texture, a little bit of the band name creeping in there, or their logo. Nine Inch Nails is definitely a band I need to listen to a lot more than I do. So I'm not super familiar with the album or what the artwork means. So it's really interesting because you just look at that album cover and trying to understand, like, well, I wonder what makes it iconic and important. But I guess that goes hand in hand with the music as well. So that's it. End to this video covering October Midnight or Aaron. I'll end the video by just doing a little bit of a slideshow of what I think are some of my favorite pieces that he's done. Either just pieces he's got out there, or ones that have ended up on different people's album covers. I recommend you check them out. But also, I think if you're an independent artist and you're looking for artwork for a release, whether it's a single, EP, album, whatever it is, I think especially if you've got one release coming out, quite often you need one piece of artwork. I think really do stray away from doing a five-finger death punch and getting AI to make an album cover. And I know I do the same, and a lot of people have to rely on generative AI for lots of different things, or, you know, I've been open about it and I know that I do, but there's a few things I really didn't want to compromise on, and I really didn't want to cross boundaries and start using that on visuals. And I did think it was going to cost me upwards of £700-800, and I was completely blown away and surprised, not just by Aaron, but some other artists I've met since that were prepared to do really phenomenal work. And knowing the amount of time and thought that goes into that process, and sometimes hearing back from them because they're working through the night on it, and you just think about the amount of money they're asking for the amount of time they're spending. And from what I've seen is definitely, like any band, like if you're able to distribute your music and pay that fee and get a little bit of mixing and mastering done, you can definitely get professional artwork done. And I definitely recommend it. If you can't find anyone else, then go and definitely look at October Midnight. Go and look through his gallery, see what's available, see if there's anything there that speaks to you, and reach out to him on Messenger. And I think, yeah, sure, if you want a commission, if you want something very specific, that's going to cost more. It has to be made from scratch. But like, he's an artist and he's just continually making art. So a lot of this, he's just making it and he's putting it out there. And I don't have to scroll very far between, like, I see this one here with the flowers, right? Straight away, available for licensing. You could easily see that on a signed band's album cover. Iconic, great. It says so much about fragility, death, aging, whatever it is that you want to cover. It looks so good, and you know, it's all original elements as well. and just reach out, just drop the person a DM. You see something like that, and ask how much would it cost for me to license that and use that exclusively for an album cover, and to add my band name and logo on there. And you'll be really surprised. I definitely recommend just reach out. Just you see these people, drop them a message, and if you can't find anyone else, definitely you could do a lot worse than reaching out to Aaron. So I hope you enjoyed this gallery, and definitely go check him out. Give him a follow. He doesn't need any support from me. So you can see here 33,700 followers. So wow, yeah, great to see somebody like that living their dream and being so successful. And if you scroll through his gallery, it just goes on and on and on. And I think most of these pieces probably haven't even been snapped up. So yeah, what a talent. And if you don't need artwork, then just go there, enjoy it, drop likes and comment on his stuff. Hope you enjoy the gallery, and I'll see you for the next one. Thank you.
Every angle, every limit, all the possibilities.